Hey, it's Adam here, and you're watching The Culture Hack, where we're talking about how to create engaged workspaces that unlock the potential of your teams and drive your business forward in ways you've never seen. So stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to The Culture Hack. Today is a very exciting day. We have with me Ed Temple. Now, Ed is an executive coach holding the rare credential of Master Certified Coach with the International Coaching Federation. He's also the author of Leader as Coach, which introduces Sprout, a simple and accessible coaching model tailored specifically for leaders. And if that wasn't enough, Ed is the program chair for the Leader as Coach program at Lethbridge College. Welcome, Ed. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Adam, for having me. Appreciate the opportunity to have a chat.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to dive into those things a little bit, but tell us about what you do with Lethbridge. What's the Leader as Coach program?
Sure. So the college program there is called Leader as Coach, and it's basically an introduction to coaching skills to help leaders of all sorts of different levels from all sorts of industries learn how to use coaching skills to make them more effective leaders. And I kind of came at it from having that as my own experience. I was a leader organization, wanted to develop my skills, do some more training, and I'd heard lots about coaching and I had a coach. And it was in one of those conversations that I just liked the way they engaged with me, that I was like, tell me about you getting into coaching, because they were a very successful leader and they had been at the top of the organization. I respected them a lot, and that was kind of part of why I got them as a coach. And I said, what is it about coaching that drew you to it and to leave your career to become a coach? And he talked about coaching as being this sacred space where you get to go behind the curtain and have conversations with people that really help change people to make them more effective. And the way he talked about it just really attracted me and turned me on to it. And I liked what he did, so that's what sent me off to school to get trained and to learn it. And as I learned it, I realized that this is something that anybody can do. It's I've had some training, but when you learn how to ask great questions, you really tap into people in a way that's unique. And that's what got me excited about doing more of this coaching, but then getting into helping other leaders use coaching skills as well.
Okay, amazing. I love that. I love that you took your experience and are now transferring it to other people, right? I mean, that giving back part, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah. Well, so much of that comes from that experience of being changed, being made a better leader, becoming more effective, those things that really kind of go, oh, okay, I see this works for me. And then seeing other leaders struggle. And a big part of it came with the people that I was leading. Realized they could lead themselves more effectively because, you first become a leader and then you become a leader of leaders. And when I was leading leaders, I realized, okay, they're not being as effective as I know I am being, but it's because they didn't have that coaching element. But what I found was after a while of coaching and asking good questions, they started to kind of take on those things. They started to emulate what I was doing and realize, oh yeah, this is kind of an organic thing. You have a leader that does this, then you become a leader that does it, and then your people benefit from it. And so this was just a kind of a progression to become more intentional on making that happen with people, is helping them with coaching skills and learning what it is to coach and how to do it well.
Amazing. And you've talked a lot about leadership being the number one skill that people will need going forward. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So what I say is coaching is the leadership skill of the future. So there's lots of skills you need as a leader. I believe that coaching is the key one, or another way of saying it is it's the linchpin. It's what all sorts of other skills hang on for effective leaders. And so that's why I'm passionate about it, because there's a lot of great things that leaders need to learn and to develop and to grow through. But I believe coaching is that thing that enhances. And again, coming back to my personal experience, I got hired in a position where the people that'd be reporting to me were all older and more senior than I was. Most of them were older than me, but they all had more experience than I was. And I was coming into a leadership position when I realized very quickly they know their jobs better than I do. I can't come in and pretend like I know better than them. And that's the thing you find is as you elevate into higher levels of leadership, you very quickly realize you need to have people around you who are smarter than you, who have abilities and skills that you don't have. But the X factor that I brought was helping them be better through coaching. And it's the coaching skills that I realized, that's how I can enhance other people's abilities. I don't need to know all the things they do. And as technology and things emerge and the learning curve gets sharper and sharper, you can't keep up on everything. You need to have people who are experts in different ways. But in leadership, you can approach them in a way that enhances their ability and engages them in a way that kind of unlocks their own potential.
And that's, that's not an uncommon situation to be in, where you've have some skills, you've been put in a leadership or managerial position, and the people who are reporting up to you are like, well, who is this guy, right? I've been doing this 20 years. Don't try and tell me how to do that. But I think by applying a coaching philosophy and asking good questions, you're able to drive their engagement and help them interact with you in a way that's productive, right?
Yeah.
So we talk about engagement. What does that engagement mean to you? What do you watch for when you're coaching or teaching coaching in terms of engagement?
Well, I think like engagement, simply put, are people who are excited to come to work and add value and make a difference. They don't see a job as something to get through to get to the weekend. It's a really integral part of their lives. It's a meaningful part of their day. It's not a thing to get through in their day. And the best leaders are usually pretty passionate and hungry about what they're doing and have an inner motivation that gets them up in the morning, that drives them hard. There's a reason why they might check an email after 5 o'clock or do those things. It's because they're internally motivated to succeed. And that's really where I see engagement is cultures that kind of tap into those things that people care about what they do. It's not because somebody there has a stick or a carrot or is trying to entice them to do better. There's something inside of them. And I see leadership as kind of unlocking those things and asking things to help people tap into those inner motives that we all have. Work does not create that. We all have them. And if you think about it, like, what are the things that you're passionate about? The things that you don't need to be paid for, you'll just do. The hobbies, the interests that you have. Well, I think likewise, even in the things where we do get paid to do it, there are ways of aligning that with things that we feel strongly about, that we believe in, and that we care about. And that's what a lot of what we can do in work is to help people engage through that.
I love that, right? It's like this idea of coaching can drive engagement, which then creates a culture of performance. So do you see coaching as a real effective tool or key way to drive that type of culture in an organization?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can give you like kind of a short little example of that. So the work that I'm kind of referencing in the back of my mind with this is Daniel Pink's work in a book that he wrote called Drive. And he talks about what people need in work beyond the carrot and stick. Once people have a way of making a living and taking care of their needs, what they really want is they want to have a sense of purpose in their work. They want to have a sense of autonomy to be accountable for what they're going to do, but be left alone to do it. And then they want to have a sense of mastery. They want to become experts at what they're doing. Those are the things that motivate and drive people. And so when you think of those things, very quickly, to me, it's an obvious connection with the coaching around how you help people tap into those things. And an example of that is that you might have a task that you want done, and you have a reason for wanting to get it done. It's part of what you're responsible for. There's a deliverable that's expected. But the person that you are leading and coaching through may also have the same alignment on what needs to get done, but the reason why they want to do it may be different than yours. And so in a coach approach, it's not, I don't force people to do it the way I want them to do it or the way I would do it. There's a sense of asking questions to help them tap into the reason why this is important to them. I remember talking to a leader about that, and I thought it was all about growth and performance and delivering shareholder value. That's what I thought. I just assumed that because I'm very driven like that. That's the way I would talk about things. That's how I care about things. And as I asked questions of the CEO, I realized very quickly, and he just said, in this new position, I have 50 families that I care for, that I have to take care of. That if we don't succeed as a company, these 50 families are affected. And he was talking about his employees. But to him, it was an expression of being able to care for people, that he wanted to be successful because it was actually a way to help people. And I realized, his motivation is very different than my motivation. Right? And it's not to say that we all care in different ways, but as he was tapping into those things, that's the thing that helps really drive him. And by asking questions and helping them articulate it, my job is not to help them be driven the way I would and the way I would want to do things. It's to help them align with their values, their beliefs, their identity. Those are the things that come out in coaching that really help unlock those things that are inside for a person's motivation and drive. And coaching connects with those things.
I like that notion, right? Because sometimes we can't articulate exactly what our why is, or we haven't thought enough about it, or something along those lines, right? If I can't articulate it, I can't communicate it.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Coaching is often a space to reflect with a thought partner. That as they reflect, I'm not there to inform, but as I ask questions, I become a bit of a sounding board and a mirror, right? A mirror to what could be and what they could be. And so I don't necessarily interpret, I leave that up to the person to interpret it, but they kind of figure things out. And that taps into that mastery part. They feel like they're becoming an expert. And so one of the things that leaders often do is leaders get elevated into leadership because they're good at what they do. That's why they advance, right? You choose among your peers and you said, you did that the best, so I'm assuming that you're going to be the best leader. So you get advanced. So when people come with a question about how to do something or what needs to get done, leaders feel good about themselves by giving an answer. It's because that's how they feel confident. They feel like they're mastering leadership. I'm a good leader. People come to me for answers. And what you're missing out when you give an answer is helping people become a master themselves. But when you ask the question, a variety of questions to help them get to the solution, and they walk away going like, I figured that out. I know what to do, not because Ed said to do it, but because I figured it out. They have a sense of mastery and being empowered. And so that's a way of engaging with leaders, that the leaders are not the source of all of the solutions and answers. The people are, and the leader helps unlock and kind of tap into that.
And I think that might be the hardest thing to learn in your leadership journey is not to solve the problem, to ask a good question, and then be quiet.
So, and the way that comes out in coach training, because the same thing with coach training, right, is people want to ask questions that are about explaining what's happening. They're trying to understand. So you bring me a problem, you kind of lay it out on the table. Then my next question often in leaders ask is helping you help me understand it. And they don't realize that those questions are not what coaches ask. They ask questions that tap into your beliefs about the situation, your view of the situation, what you value in that situation. It's the things that you have the space to reflect on and kind of reflect on what your thinking is and your mindset about these things. I actually don't need to know the situation. And so the questions are different. They're just a shift of what people expect. And leaders always start with that. Well, tell me more about this. And what's that mean? And what's this about? Those are questions that feed into me, because what's happening is I'm trying to put together a solution to your problem, trying to understand it so I can give you something. And in coaching, you're not doing that. You're helping them work through those things to be able to see the situation differently and come up with insight.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the future, right? Coaching is becoming more and more, I think, recognized as leadership gets recognized as an important skill. You've got this amazing program called Sprout. I want to hear a little bit about Sprout and what's that all about.
Yeah, so Sprout is just a simple coaching model. There's a lot of great models out there, a lot of coaching schools and those things. And so that's one of them. But one of the things that's unique about Sprout in my book, The Leader as Coach, it outlines that, kind of walks you through. It's a bit of a handbook on kind of how to learn coaching skills. It's not long. It's what they use at Lethbridge College around understanding how to take a coach approach. But the other part of it is there's an app that has an AI coach in it. And so you learn the model through the app by just asking questions and learning how to go through that. But the second part of that is to learn coaching is to be coached. When you get coached, you experience what is happening inside of you. And we could get into the neuroscience of coaching and how people actually change. It's probably maybe for another day, but there's things that are going on inside of you that when you experience it, you suddenly are getting insights and you're going, oh, that's what coaching is about. So then you as a leader are suddenly being equipped to understand what you're doing to people as you ask questions. And one of the things I'd say about the AI coach is I don't fear that the AI coach is going to replace me, because there's something that human coaches and human leaders that an AI can't ever do. And that's the space of human connection. And in connection is actually where we change. And so AI coaching, my AI coach in the app can do really great coaching around a goal. It can help you with things. It's really amazing what it can do. But it can't do the things of what coaching really is about around transformation. And that comes through connection, through empathy, through understanding what it's like to have limitations, what it means to be human with our values and our identity. The AI can ask good questions. It can't do those other things. And so that's kind of the next book I'm working on, is kind of what parts of leadership can't be replaced by AI. And the reason for that is so that we get even better at those elements. As I've been doing this creating of the app and writing the book, I've realized, if AI coaching can do 80% of what I can do as a coach, what it's helped me understand is it's the 20% I want to get really good at. That's the part that I'm now focusing on. 80%, it can be done. Asking good questions, figuring out a goal. Yeah, I can still do that. But it's in that 20% that I think there's something very unique and special that I don't think AI can replace. But that's also where it's used as a tool to just help people learn the skills of coaching. And really, I just have a vision to democratize it and make it more accessible to leaders throughout the world. I don't think it'll replace what I do as a coach, but it'll make it more accessible to other leaders.
Oh, I really enjoy that. I mean, if you can dial that in a little bit, then people, when they're paying lots of money for a coach, might feel like they're getting more value for their money if they're focusing in on these specific areas that, as you said, can't be replaced, right?
Yeah. And the reality is that coaching is still something that's typically is more exclusive for the highest levels of leadership in organizations. But I think coaching skills are human skills. Everybody needs them. I mean, it's made me a better father, a better partner. It's helped me in relationships. So that's where I think it's something about in our workplaces, we bring all of ourselves as well. We bring our humanity as well. And so I think these types of conversations and interactions are needed within work, that we humanize it even more, that's what really enhances the culture of an organization. And so, yeah, you can't necessarily, pay for coaches for everybody. That's still going to be a more exclusive thing and still needed. But I think that ability to connect with others and leaders to use coaching skills can be used at any level of leadership.
I love that. And what an amazing note to end on and leave as a gem for our listeners. So Ed, I really want to thank you for your time. Some thought-provoking things in there, especially around the AI and the role of coaches and leaders. But really appreciate your time. Thanks, Ed.
Yeah, it's exciting. And I'll just maybe say this, you might go onto the App Store and look for the AI coach. You won't find it yet. It's in beta. This is very fast emerging kind of thing, but it is the future. So I look forward to connecting with people who would have interest and seeing what might come out of this, because it's all just emerging so quickly. So thanks for the time today.
Awesome. Thanks, Ed.
Hey, thanks for watching The Culture Hack. Do you want to chat culture and engagement? Give us a call and come on the show.